Jonley yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Costa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and appreciate the opportunity for this important hearing to talk about an issue that's been discussed a great deal here in the last year, and that is the American taxpayer dollars being spent wisely in this effort as we support the brave Ukrainian people, and as people talk about Ukraine fatigue, and I remind them that the Ukrainian people are not fatigued because they are standing for their sovereignty and in a much bigger way standing up for democratic institutions around the world, including our own. I want to get to the heart of this matter. I obviously am a very strong supporter of our involvement, along with our European allies and NATO, to ensure that the war criminal, President Putin, does not get away with the atrocities of this invasion of a sovereign nation. Having said that, the aid that we have given, Congress has appropriately and fittingly, as we do in the past, require audits to ensure that these taxpayer dollars are wisely spent. And I must tell you that the Ukrainian members of Parliament that I have worked with over the last year, who are very much at the forefront of ensuring that the corruption that has historically been a part of Ukraine does not prevent them, that they put a stop to it, and that they manage their own best practices to ensure that we feel that there is integrity on how these dollars are spent. With that said, I'm going to ask the three of you the same question. Mr. Storch, you with the Department of Defense have been doing this, I think, for a while. In all of your efforts with the audits on the monies that we have sent to the Ukrainian military for their defense, have you been able to find any misuse of funds in your audits that would raise red flags to Congress to ensure that something is wrong here and we need to address it?
We have not.
You have not. And Ms. Arguella, with the audits that you have conducted in terms of humanitarian aid and USAID and other efforts, have you determined or have you found any misuse of American taxpayer dollars in the assistance that we have provided to the country of Ukraine?
Our audits have not, no.
And Ms. Shaw, with the Department of State, and obviously you have a lot of experience as well in how our U.S. support, not only here in Ukraine, but in other countries that we have provided support, where any misuse of funds or dollars that were targeted for certain purposes, for economic and for nation building as State Department works at, have you found any misuse of funds thus far of the literally billions of dollars of taxpayers' money that we have provided Ukraine?
Our completed work has not substantiated any findings like that.
All right. Well, my concern is this, and I think, and obviously people can have different views on this, but because I believe for ourselves and for Europe and for NATO that this is the test of our time and whether or not we are going to stand up for the common values we share as democracies, that some people who don't share that view are trying to cast doubt as to whether or not taxpayer dollars are being misused as a reason that maybe we should withdraw our continued support. And that's why the work that you're doing, I think, is so important for the integrity of our support for this critical challenge that we face today, ourselves and our European allies. Do you get a sense in your audits in working with the ministries in the Ukrainian government and with their parliament that there is a similar concern? Because clearly it's not in their interest, I would not think, if in fact they've had to deal with corruption historically in their country, so they understand the problem, that this would undermine the support we're giving them and that the Europeans are giving them. Have you detected in your working efforts with them about their concerns?
So I just say that so to be clear, we don't audit the Ukrainians. In our case, we audit the United States provision of security assistance. But having said that, In our engagements with the Ukrainians, both when the three of us went to Kyiv and in subsequent engagements, we have heard consistently they understand the importance of being transparent. They understand the importance of accountability.
My
and of
time is
addressing
just
corruption.
about gone. Any best practices that you would recommend to the committee in terms of how we go forward in the future to ensure that these tax dollars that Congress and the administration appropriate for this very critical, important purpose can ensure that we provide the protections and the guarantees that we in Congress want to have, that the administration wants to have, and that the American taxpayers feel that they deserve?
A complex question, but a simple answer is to do exactly what you did, which is to empower OIGs and oversight professionals to get in early, to be positioned to get out ahead of fraud and issues like that.
Gentleman's
thank
time's
you.
expired. Chair recognizes Ms. Wagner.